Can you think of video game characters that shaped entire console generations? Of course, there's Mario, Zelda, Sonic, and even Master
Captain
Chief.
Keys.
However, what about a purple freaking dragon? Spyro. Yes. Now listen up. This is the only costume I could find, okay? I know this is Spyro from Temu, but this is the best I could do, okay? And so let's fly to the Dragon Realm and take a look at Spyro the Dragon. I'll be playing the entire game, collecting all of the dragons, every single egg, and finding every single gem. And finally, defeat Nasty Nork. So, let's jump right in. Woo!
Okay, rolling.
Oh, it's been peaceful here in the 5 worlds, or is it 6? For a dragon's age. We now have 12,000 treasure, or is it 14,000?
What about this Ganasty Gnork character? Now, I understand he's found a magic spell to turn gems into warriors for his cause.
I'll take that question. Nasty Nork is a simple creature. Simple! He has been contained in a remote world and is no threat to the Dragon Kingdom. No threat! Besides, he is ugly. That does it!
Looks like I've got some things to do.
And with that, we are released into the game. Now this nasty Nork fella turned all of the big dragons into statues, and now we have to rescue them. This is actually quite straightforward. We simply go onto the platform and there we go. Each dragon will have something insightful, funny, or sometimes just strange thing to say.
After him.
Find dragons first. That's all I can tell you.
I absolutely love the voice acting for Spyro. It has the 90s charm that these nostalgic games had. Yes, sometimes it's a bit crude, but I don't know, it just adds to the charm in my opinion.
What about Nasty Nork?
And now, on to the gameplay. With Spyro, we can dash, breathe fire, jump, and of course, kick some bad guys behind. We also are here collecting gems along the way. Now, each time we find a dragon, of course, we will also rescue them. Kind of like this.
Where's Nasty Nork? I'll torch him.
Keep your horns on, Spyro! You have much to learn first. Do you know what the dragonfly following you is doing? His name is Sparks, and he's helping and protecting you. Keep an eye on him and see what I mean.
And wait a second, that's Clancy Brown, right?
Hello, I like money.
Nice. Before we go into any portal, we'll first of all try to get most of the gems in this hub world, and of course, all of the dragons. And in this section, we're introduced to gliding. Pressing jump twice will make you glide, and after collecting not quite 100 gems, well, we're off to the first level, Town Square. Each hub world and each level has a distinctive theme. This starts with the enemies in each level, and here, for example, we have bulls and matadors. The animals giving the butterflies to replenish health here are chickens. Health is shown by the color of Sparks, our dragonfly that follows us around and collects the gems for us too. Without her, it would be incredibly tedious to collect all of those gems ourselves. Which can actually happen if you lose too much health and Sparks is gone, then you actually have to collect the gems individually. We also get to a thief. These fully robed bandits sometimes have eggs, gems, or something else, and these will actually be used in all 3 of the mainline Spyro games. Making it here and releasing Thor, getting 200 gems, we have 100% of this level, which I double check in the inventory. Awesome. And just like that, we have 6% of the game done already. I mean, come on. But don't let that fool you, the levels of course will get harder as we go along. Next stop is Dark Hollow. In this level, we're introduced to enemies with shields as well as big enemies. The trick here is that the shields will absorb the flames, so these enemies we actually have to headbutt instead. And the big enemies, well, they can only be defeated with flames. Headbutting doesn't really do anything. And the devs even combine the two, giving armor to the big guys, which only have their backs exposed, which is the only part that is attackable by flames. Each level always has a couple of different areas to explore and find, although they will get much tougher and better hidden throughout. So next, off to Stone Hill, which not only reuses the assets from the Dragon Hub world, I always found this to look almost exactly the same. Enemies here are the headbutting goats. What was always so cool about this level in particular is that when you glide from the tower, it always seems like you could get onto that ledge, which is obviously outside of the world. But actually, it's not outside of the world, it just feels that way. Lots of games at the time, and still today, use like big hills and natural boundaries to limit the size of levels. Having this be walkable? I don't know, it just always felt awesome. Luckily, towards the end, I saw the beach over here, which was pretty well hidden actually, and we not only get the key, but also 100% this level too. Now here in this Artisan hub world, I have jumped towards this wall numerous times, and you can see the platforms are not lighting up. Now, I know that there's something behind this wall, but the reason it doesn't open is I have always missed the exact secret platform you have to start from. Yeah, we'll deal with this much later in the video because, I mean, we're gonna do 120%, so yeah. So then to finish this off, we are confronting Toasty. Basically, in each world there is a mini-boss level. Their layouts are slightly different from the normal levels. However, they always conclude with a small boss fight. Here we also see why having Sparks around is a great idea. Fighting Toasty is trivial. These mini-boss fights, they definitely leave a lot to be desired. But I mean, fair enough. After finishing him off, we can go to the Balloonist and enter into the next hub world. So, off to the Peacekeeper's world. The first thing you notice here is the absolute banger music. I mean, all of the music in the Spyro games is absolutely phenomenal. But like, listen to this. That is just awesome. Now, the world over here is basically a giant Civil War reenactment, and honestly, I'm all here for it. We can use these cannons to hit enemies and even blow up certain structures within the world. But before we deal with any of this, onto the Dry Canyon. The shielded enemies are iterated upon and now also have firearms, so even when charging, you gotta be careful. This level also marks the first time we see the box of fireworks. Pretty much you light it and then get a bunch of gems. The devs are getting quite creative with the types of boxes they could hide gems inside of. And then I luckily once again find a hidden area with an egg thief right here, but we're not done quite just yet. So we can see a dragon up there, but how do we get there? Direct flight does not work. So I struggle for about 5 minutes until I start thinking outside of the box.
And by that I mean, I looked it up online, okay? It is what it is. Caught.
Okay, anyway, we have to fly around the rock like this. And so we collect the last dragon and even the key, allowing us to get the last couple of gems too, and there we go, 100%. We clean up a little bit more of the hub world and then off to the ice cavern. As I've said, each level really has a distinct feel to it, which is nice. Now, with this big void in the middle of this cavern, the level itself is basically sort of on the outside. I like this level design here. And finally, one of the dragons gives us some useful information for once.
Spyro, some big Norks up ahead are wearing armor. And in the ice cave, armor can make their feet very slippery.
And we get to use that immediately. Oh yeah, we get to push off some enemies off of cliffs. That's always nice. And finally, within the caves, there are torches with gems on top of them. I'm pretty sure this is the only time this mechanic is ever used in all 3 games, or at least I think it's used very sparingly. Backtrack a little to get the key and open the final chest and finish this level with, yeah, not 400, but 398 gems. Oh my. Now, as luck would have it, I see the last 2 gems on these torches just in time. If I hadn't seen those, I would have probably gone through the entire level twice.
Surely missing 1 or 2 gems at the end of a level is never gonna be a thing, right? We don't need to be concerned or worry about that in the slightest, right? Right?
And then it is off to Night Flight. We skipped the flight level in the first hub world, so I guess we'll talk about it now. The flight levels are timed levels where you have 4 different objects to fly through or destroy, and each object gives you a second or a couple of seconds of extra time. The flight levels, I still remember when I was young, I hated them. Like, absolutely hated them. Nowadays, I think they're mostly fine. It still takes me 3 times to get this done. Finishing it once is enough to get 100% on these levels, so that's pretty nice. And collecting a little bit more in the hub world, and then it is off to Cliff Town. Overall, in this level, there's nothing really too exciting going on. Well, except one small thing towards the end. Even after getting onto the highest cliff in Cliff Town and getting almost every gem, we're still about 30 gems short. What? Now, it turns out they are behind the castle in the beginning. Alright, 100% done. This whole odyssey just took a good 15 minutes. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, we'll see this numerous times in all 3 games. Trying to collect every single gem, it becomes a chore at some point. And there's some levels that take way too long to do it in. Of course, right, it's a challenge and it's supposed to be challenging, so I get that, but every single time there's one singular gem that's missing, and I have to scour the entire freaking level. It gets maddening. It really does. Basically, don't play this game 100%. That's my suggestion.
We finish off the hub world, and while I do perish once or twice in the purple goo, we then confront the next mini-boss, Dr. Shemp. The level itself, once again, is nothing too exciting, and neither is the boss fight. Once the boss has turned its back to Spyro, we can give him a hot reminder not to mess with us. And we repeat this about 3 times and that's it. Now luckily the devs will get much more creative with their boss fights. However, it's only starting in future games, so yeah. And even after finishing this boss, 25 gems are still missing, so we go on another exploration tour of the entire level until I finally see a purple gem, glide right to it, and there we have it. This also includes the Peacekeepers level in its entirety and off to the Magical Crafters. And now here's where it gets really interesting. Well, as you can imagine, Magical Crafters are, well, I mean, basically wizards, right? So they manipulate the world around them. I know I'm pretty much repeating myself at this point, but the detail that each world is pretty much unique in its design, and it is also designed around 1 or 2 interesting mechanics, is just a brilliant idea. We see this entire design philosophy throughout the entire Spyro trilogy. Here we're also introduced to the Supercharge. Let's have Xantor explain it.
When you see arrows like these, you can charge along with them to begin a supercharge.
Supercharge? Excellent.
Go ahead, try it.
Nice, and we're gonna see it first in this level, the High Caves. Another one of those levels which looks closely related to its hub world, which once again isn't a bad thing, I just wanted to point it out. One of the worst enemies here are the bugs, because we can't defeat them at all. Yet. And just like Spyro says right here,
I hate those bugs. When I become big and strong, like you, I'll squash them all.
Until then, remember that supercharge makes you invincible.
wait, invincible you say? Well, the supercharge is actually not even needed because, well, on this balcony right here, a fairy is giving us a kiss, which apparently makes Spyro go into heat. Listen, I am not an expert on dragon physiology, so who knows? With the superheated flames, that allows us to squash those damn bugs. However, the timing is so damn tight. I basically run down these caverns like 10 times for a good 5 or 10 minutes to finally get the last freaking bug. And then we finally get to see the supercharge and yeah, there's a reason why it's called the Supercharge. Because of the Supercharge, there's even more accessible areas, which makes this level super huge, like it's actually vast. Now here, I actually think I'm stuck. However, these 3 fairies will save you from certain doom when you jump down. That's a little bit of a leap of faith, but okay. And this freaking thief next to the pool of like blue magma, it is almost impossible to get this freaking guy without falling into the pool at least once. In the end, I do manage to catch him, but man, this guy. Of course, there's a couple of gems missing. However, beyond these wizards who keep moving their towers, there's everything there, and we see the sparkles of the gems. So with that, 500 gems and 100% for the high caves. And now off to supercharge some fools. And we're supercharging into Crystal Flight. Another flying race level, and if you don't keep to the correct order to collect things in, this is extremely hard to finish. However, keeping in order, no issues whatsoever. After this, off to Wizard Peak, another level which resembles the overworld quite a bit. I think this is one of the very few levels which doesn't set itself apart at all from the hub world. Like, you get the same wizards, the superchargers, and nothing else really exciting going on. Except, I mean, the charging is somewhat exciting. Just collecting everything is easy and straightforward. But then, we have to charge. And not just a couple of times. We have to charge to destroy the box, to get over here and, or not, I guess. And we actually get the only game over this entire playthrough. Well, this is really shaping out to be my least favorite level, but alright. We charge once to reach the platform over here. Now, or I guess we don't, because I keep missing like 5 times over and over and over again. Then I finally get the bright idea of using both supercharge pads, and yes, that will actually have Spyro charge even faster. But how do you get up here? Don't worry, we'll see this in a second. Now, I try for a long time with these superchargers. However, that doesn't work at all because you lose too much going into the building. Then I try the speedrunning technique that I found, but that fails too. And finally, yeah, I look up the complete playthrough and it turns out there's just like another part of the level to completely explore. Alright, fair enough. Now, mind you, after going through all of this as well, there's still 14 missing gems. So I am starting to lose it just a little bit. No, this might not just be my least favorite level. It is, at least right now. I think there's another one that's coming up. We'll see that in a bit. Anyway, I scour through everything, and I realize I actually have not made it to the ledge that I pointed out before. It just looked like that. So we need to go through the new area we discovered again and actually take a different turn. And lo and behold, we fly over there, get this guy, and finally, after about 30 minutes for this particular least favorite level right now, 100%ed Wizard Peaks. Nice. We almost finished the entirety of the hub world and then go on to the mini boss fight, Blowhard.
Blowhard, huh?
The level itself is very short until we get to the boss fight, and this lightning tornado guy, well, we fire him up once, and then we have to continue with some platforming section. We get him 2 more times and then collect all gems, and there you go. Yeah, this was definitely the least interesting mini boss fight so far, but I mean, fair enough. With this though, not only are we at 49% of the game finished, we're almost done with the magic world entirely. One more level, the Alpine Ridge. Oh, and 10 more gems in the hub world. The Alpine Ridge, while containing similar enemies we've seen before, the level feels quite unique due to using a different color palette and just feeling different in general. The rest of the level though is pretty much what you've seen before in the Magic Crafters. Wizards that change the level back and forth, so we have to time our jumps and our attacks. In the last cave, we get another dragon, another egg, and we also collect some gems. But we're missing 47 of them? I guess someone call a hitman. Regardless though, with that big of a number, there's gotta be an entire another section that I missed. And no, it's not behind the waterfall, even though there's always something behind the waterfall. No, it turns out it is here by the castle, and luckily all 47 gems are here as well. You'll love to see it. So that basically finishes all sub-levels in the Magic Crafters, and now here I just need to find the locked treasure chest. With a key and claw, we take a leap of faith, and there it is. So, off to the balloonist, and we can continue to the Beastmaker's world. Let's go. And here we are in the Beastmaker's hub world. And here, we might just see the actual worst level. Oh, but for now, we'll get there soon enough. Right now, the hub world here, once again, it gives a unique vibe. Flora and fauna is quite savanna and swampy inspired, and that's pretty neat. After the first level, the Terrace Village. And we get another iteration of the same enemy types we've seen before. Big enemies, here we have to blast with fire, smaller ones we have to charge into. Additionally though, these guys actually electrify the pads beneath them, so we can only go in there when they're not electrified. Otherwise, it's going to be a shocking surprise. The rest of this level is not exciting at all, so when all of the enemies are dispatched, it's a bit of a search, but then we collect all 400 gems and go home. Continuing along, we get another flight level, this time Wild Flight, and this one is wild indeed, because after a couple of failed attempts, I almost have it, first going through the arches, then the boxes, then the planes, and finally the boats. However, I miss one final boat. Now on my perfect final attempt, I was actually missing one boat, but for some reason, I had 30 seconds left. I'm telling you, if you go on the perfect line, you can sometimes get 2 collectibles for the price of 1. Anyway, that concludes Wild Flight, and off we are to Misty Bog. Sentient plants, enemies that try to capture chickens, and weird frog creatures. Well, I actually fondly remember this level. Specifically this long part where you can charge down all of these enemies. Here though, after finishing the level, it's a bit of a search to find the last hidden gems. That's what I thought, because actually there's not 400 gems, there's 500 gems in this level. So we gotta go back to the island that is guarded by these damn attack frogs, and there they actually get me. The range is way too high and you just can't be fast enough to get rid of them. Well, second time's the charm, and we get the last dragon as well as all 500 gems. Awesome. And then we're finally here. Treetops. By far, the worst convoluted level of this entire game. Dare I say, maybe the entire franchise. I hate it with every fiber of my being. The enemies are both small and big monkeys. The small ones throw bananas at you because, of course, now these are not the problem. No, the problem is this. Yeah, because we have to go far, a lot of times. In the beginning of this level, I thought, oh man, this is actually pretty well set up, you know? And I love how huge this level is. It's like, haha, yeah, that changed quickly from love to hate. Because now, get this, we have to do this. Now, in case it's not too bad, jump across this big chasm, and then we also have to reach on top of the tower right here. After a couple of tries, no issue, but then it just becomes a mess of trees, corridors, and ways to go. From this main supercharge area, we have to continue supercharging until we go, like very fast, and then we'll get there. Oh man, first I have to backtrack in this level like at least 3 times. Going back to the very beginning, then getting back to the supercharge area, and here I start making heavy use of save states because I genuinely think if I would have done this sort of legitimately or without save states, I might have actually quit the game. This was so bad. There was so much trial and error involved because sometimes you just don't know where to go. There would have been 10 game overs in this level I'm telling you. Now you might ask, well, what is the way to go? Well, from the main supercharge onto this supercharge, you then turn 145 degrees around, reverse this supercharge, which is basically impossible to reach. And then once we've done this, you go in reverse order up and then continue on to the next platform, which is insanely far off. And I barely made it in one of my attempts, and thank God. If I had played this without save states, I don't know if this video would exist. This is so... I just hate this level, man. Now, even Spyro acknowledges that this is a rough spot. I mean, okay, fair enough.
Quite a ride, Spyro. You've learned a lot since you were a young glider.
Yeah, well, you could have found an easier spot to get stuck.
Anyway, we've 100%ed treetops, and now, luckily, the worst is behind us. Before tackling the last level in Beastmasters, we finish off the hub world, and then, of course, we fight the mini-boss Metalhead. These small monkeys with armor are super annoying. You can't flame them, obviously, so you gotta charge them down, but they throw their bananas so fast, it's like I'm playing Mario Kart. Anyway, Metalhead is a big old robot, and we have to destroy all the energy pillars while they're inactive by charging them. Of course, I could never struggle with this. Well, okay, I do struggle with it in the first room, but then the second room is easily dealt with, and we can track through the entire level to find all 500 gems. The level itself is convoluted, and I mean, I have to go through each area carefully a couple of times because once again, we're missing 15 gems. But it's fine. I go through everything, we luckily find all of them behind this wall, and 100%ed everything in Beastmasters too. Awesome. And so it is off to the last hub world, the Dream Weavers. It feels similar to the magic world we've seen before, but it does show a little bit of a different enemy design. The first level to tackle here is the Dark Passage. The main interesting mechanic in this level is these fools. When flamed, they turn into a light, which turns all of the scary monsters into mostly harmless dogs. Oh, the worst enemy in this level, though, are the freaking arrow-shooting demon kids. Oh my god. Evading these arrows is basically impossible. And the rest of the level is not too exciting. Getting all 500 gems and the last 2 dragons has us glide to a different cave part. While it is linear enough, good thing we don't have to trek back through the level because the enemies are incredibly tough. I used sparks multiple times, so now I have to gather each gem individually. But then we got 500 gems, and with a small death here at the end, that is 100% the Dark Passage done. Nice. In the Dream Weavers hub world, we collect a few more gems and then explore the world first. The special mechanic here is in the middle island, there is a magic gun that turns enemies from small to big and big to small, thus allowing us to properly dispose of them. We collect some more stuff in the hub world before we go into the next level, and another mechanic is introduced with this fool right here. If you flame him, he turns into a stop clock timer, and while he is, something in the world changes. So in this case, a pillar goes down, allowing us to get a gem and an extra life. And so off we are to the Haunted Towers. This is another level where Spyro gets some affection from his fairy friends, and that allows us to melt those armor pieces. We have to track back and forth with the kids to all of the armors to destroy them all because we need every last gem. And within this castle, we even have some supercharge abilities. Oh my. Well, luckily within the castle, it's all quite easy. Another fairy supplies us with ample kisses, and then there's no more level left. But there's still 120 gems to find. Well, it probably lies within the supercharge. Of course it does. To be honest, I did look it up though, because I just genuinely didn't know where to go. Now, I don't know if I would have tried, because this is the way to go. We basically have to reach the back of the castle. And then, there's a time section here where we have to be quicker than the mage, reviving all of the animated armor, because otherwise we can't make it through. Overall, clever mechanic, although it did take me like a couple of times to fully understand what the frick was going on. But once I did, it was racing time. A couple of times, because, you know, I did fail like 2 or 3 attempts. But then, in my last attempt, easy peasy. Getting rid of all armor pieces and this chest, we finished the level with 500 gems and all dragons saved. And, for some reason, unlimited hot fire. Well, alright, back to the hub world, but we sadly don't get to keep that. Next up, we tackle Lofty Castle. Here, once again, the level feels similar to the hub world. However, we do have some funny additions. Firstly, freeing fairies from the cages activates lifts. We also have these enemies floating with balloons, and when we destroy the balloons, well, goodbye enemy. I don't know why they're doing this, but okay. However, the worst of them all is back, the freaking arrow-slinging demon kids from hell. They are such a pain in the behind, but okay. The mechanics explored here are pretty freaking neat though. It's a bummer they only introduced them just now. I feel like going back to some of the earlier levels, they could have done with a lot of this, but alright. The level itself contains some supercharges again, because of course it does, but luckily here we only have to get to one area not like in treetops. And after going through the entire level, we're missing 12 gems. Of course we are. So I do the only sensible thing I can think of, and that is go through the entire level again in order to find these missing gems. And up those stairs, here they are. Okay, another level 100%ed, and we're getting pretty close to the end of the game, but not quite yet. To enter the next level, we have to actually shrink the enemies first. This not only allows us to collect the rest of the gems in the hub world for 300 out of 300, but we also get to Icy Flight, our second to last endless flight level, because remember, we still have to go back to the very first one in the first world. Regardless, here I do struggle with the proper order, mostly with the copters, but on my next attempts, instead of leaving the gold chests for the end, I actually immediately do them, and I save so much time, it is insane. And boom, it's 300 gems from this level too, which means 2 more levels in the Dreamweaver's world, and we're almost done. I then finally noticed that I have the flight level from the Artisans world, the first hub world missing. So I do the puzzle jumping, finally, and we are off to Sunny Flight. Now here I just go at it at a random order, getting the chest first, then the arches, then the planes, and then the trains, and it somehow works. To be fair, Sunny Flight was the first flight level, so it was way easier than the other ones. And now that that is ticked off the list, it is off to Nasty's world. Delvin here gives us some guidance.
Hey, didn't I already free you?
You're in Nasty's world now, Spyro, and you are the dragon who must defeat him.
Bring him on. I'm ready.
Reach the exit in each of Nasty's lands. Then you can challenge the Nork himself.
Alright, off to Norg Cove. All of Nasty's levels are quite interesting. They are a little bit futuristic and tech-based with some very fun mechanics. The enemies here are big dock workers, metal barrels we can return to sender, and, well, if there's a TNT barrel, we might want to set that ablaze, and, yeah, their hard underwear might be showing. Oh my.
I always believed in you, Spyro.
You gotta believe.
What? That is one of the weirdest voice lines I've ever heard. What? Well, whatever. We descend down here and get this cool chain reaction, and then just make sure that we don't fall down. Oops. But as luck would have it, going through the level once has us actually get everything. So we go on to Twilight Harbor. In this level, the enemies are equipped with some Tommy guns and heavy machine guns. These commando-looking dudes do pose a little bit of a threat, but they're actually quite well designed. I like this. And then we get to raise a bridge here, and I'm pretty sure this is a completely unique mechanic for this level. Okay, sure, another one of those. Well, we need a supercharge for this one, and once again, this is a bit of a crazy one. Basically allows us to reach new heights, and we got this chest right here. And that is basically it. We complete this level with 1 more to go. We also 100%ed the hub world, so it is off to Nasty Nork, the final boss. In this boss fight, the first things first, we have to gather the gems in the main area because, well, we gotta 100% the gems. And then we need to catch 2 thieves that have keys. These keys open doors where basically the next thief is waiting for us. We then get to chase Nasty, although I do take my sweet time because first of all, I need to collect all of the gems. Now we're not supposed to really catch him here, but rather just flame him at the end on this little platform. He drops a big gem and we then gotta be quick this time because the platforms over here, they are actually slowly retracting. So yeah, fast after him. Finally, we flame him one last time and...
Sorry I took so long. I kind of forgot about you.
What about Ganasty Gnork?
Nasty Nork is toast.
So now there's order again in the Dragon Kingdom?
Well, mostly. I've still got some treasure to pick up.
What will you do next?
I'd say the sky's the limit.
yeah, that's it. And the credits are playing. But not quite, of course. Back in the hub world, this dragon tells us that we need to reach 100% and we're only at 96. What? What did I miss? Well, in fact, I missed the mini-boss Jax in the Dreamweavers. Oh, well. So going from this very anticlimactic ending, regardless, let's go to Jax. This is actually a quite interesting level too. It uses the full clock mechanic extensively, which is a welcome change of pace, and the level itself is absolutely unique, and it looks like it too. The fight against Jax is sadly, yeah, I mean, like a lot of the mini-boss fights, it's just not that exciting. We flame him twice, he turns into gems, and we 100% this level, and with that also 100% the game. And as a prize, yep, we get Nasty's loot. Now here, we get an infinite flight that is, it's genuinely super strange, because for some reason, it doesn't allow me to gain height. So, it makes this level very awkward. There's like 2,000 gems strewn about in this level, so it's quite fun collecting them. But after like 10 minutes, it gets a little bit boring. It's not that interesting. I'm unable to reach heights in order to get to like the last platform over here, which I do not understand. Well, there are multiple thieves around that you have to catch in order to get some keys. Now, I still do not understand why I had such a trouble getting up there, because all of a sudden, it just works. That was more frustrating than it would have to be, and probably this was also not quite intended, but whatever the case may be, we reach it, and the best room in the game, 2,000 gems and 120% of the game finished. We leave, and we get the final cutscene.
Spyro the Dragon, you've defeated Gnasty Gnorc, collected the dragon eggs, saved all the dragons, and recovered every bit of treasure in the Dragon Kingdom. How do you feel?
I feel fired up, Bob. And I'm happy for the Dragon World, of course. I certainly wouldn't want to spend the rest of my Dragon days butting heads with Gnasty Gnorc and his weird minions.
What's a minion?
Never mind. You know what they say. For every good battle, you need a good adversary. And I felt that Gnasty, in spite of his misguided nature, was a worthy opponent. Uh-oh. Here we go again.
And there you have it. We have reached 120% and the ending of Spyro 1. So overall, while the modern remake with its new graphics does exist of course, the original Spyro is still well worthwhile playing. Specifically though, if you don't compare it to its sequels, because then the flaws are popping up left, right and center, okay? The story obviously is very basic in this first game. There's not a lot of character behind, it's characters, right? Yeah, sure, you got Spyro, who's pretty cool, that's fine, but the boss characters and all of the ancillary characters, they're really nothing to speak about. The boss fights as well leave a lot to be desired. With that being said, it is still a lot of fun, and I can easily go back, if you have a PlayStation 1, I highly recommend playing this game. Alternatively, of course, you can play the remakes with updated graphics. They are really close to the original vision. Like, it's actually amazing how well those games are made. So Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 1, I can give it a 7 out of 10. It is a good game, but there are definitely, there's a lot of room for improvement basically. Now, the next two Spyro games, they easily capitalize on this. Like, they improve things to the nth degree. And crazily enough, that's actually what we'll continue with. So, until next time, when we play Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage. So, yeah.